Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Sean Oguntonode, but you can call me OG or Sean OG. I am a content creator and social media manager at Flutterwave. So welcome to our Grow My Business webinar. And you must be wondering what the Grow My Business webinar is. And if it's your first time, welcome. It's great to have you here. So our Grow My Business webinar is what we started during the pandemic for businesses. So it was an avenue for us to share resources to business owners and small businesses for them to grow their business. So we have done this for almost about a year now, and then we have switched from weekly to bi-weekly. So we have like twice a month. So what we talk about is we speak to different industry experts around the world, in Africa and beyond. So they come on here and just share some resources on how you can grow your business, from finance, marketing, legal, anything you need to know. And you haven't watched any of our Grow My Business webinar, you can always find it on our YouTube channel. So you can just Google Grow My Business webinar playlist. So we have like resources that you can always go back to that will obviously help you with your business today. So I'm going to go on with some little house rules on what the agenda is today. So we're going to be speaking to Linda Uneze. She's a speaker today. We're diving into driving employee engagement through a stellar culture. So, and also I forgot to mention, this webinar is being recorded, so you can always go back to it. And then if you've signed up for it today, you can always find it. We're going to send it out to you this week. And if you don't get an email, you can always check our YouTube channel. So we also have the Q&A section. So we encourage everyone to use the Q&A section so that things don't get lost in the chat. So if you have any questions during the session, you can always put that in the Q&A section. So we can always go there and answer your questions after the webinar. So it's going to be Linda's section first, going to my colleague section, Jola. She's going to be telling us what Flutterwave offers business owners at the moment. So enough about me talking. I'm going to introduce our speaker for today, which is Linda. Linda is a HR practitioner. She's certified, of course, and she's the managing partner and co-founder of Morix Sandra Solution, which is an HR consulting firm. So I'm just going to dive into, I'm going to pass it on, sorry. I'm going to pass it on to Linda to introduce herself and then go into her section today. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Sean. That was a warm introduction. Thank you very much. You've already introduced me, so I think we'll just go straight into it. I'm also the convener of Doing Business in Nigeria conference. It was a conference we recently held, and Flutterwave was one of the sponsors. So let me share my screen, and we can. So today we'll be talking about how organizations can drive employee engagement through a strong culture, a stellar culture. So the content for the day, I will set the same by talking about what employee engagement is as EE. We'll look at the various types. We'll then look at how culture influences EE, and then the role of leaders, because it's important for leaders to be involved in EE strategies. And then we would look at the difference between strategic fit for an organization and best practice using the 8S framework. We would then conclude with why you need an engaged workforce, and then I'll take some questions from all of you. So once again, it's an honor to be here and nice to meet all of you listening. So I would like to mention that this is just an acknowledgement statement from me, just saying that the content on the slides you'll be seeing, the materials were gotten from different sources. So I'm just acknowledging my depth of gratitude. Now to the topic of the day, employee engagement. When we think of employee engagement, what comes to mind? Some of you probably think of job satisfaction. Some people probably say involvement, employee involvement, employee commitment, loyalty. If you're thinking of any or all of this, you're not far from the truth, right? There are organizations that are known for carrying out research on EE. And in a nutshell, I would say that employee engagement, there is a mental and an emotional connection from your employees. And also it triggers some enthusiasm and commitment from them. And there is a place of willingness, and not only willingness, their ability to carry out certain tasks or functions that have been given to them. And most importantly, is the psychological investment by your employees to the business. So now I'm saying by your employees because I know some of you are business leaders here, and I also know that some of you are business owners, and then some are just some managers. Regardless of what you are, we would understand the need to have an engaged workforce as we move along. Where we want to be as business owners, as business leaders, as managers even, is the first box. We want to have a workforce that is actively engaged, a workforce that is loyal, that is productive, committed, willing to go the extra mile for the organization. Remember the psychological investment. When you have people who feel that they're a part of the organization, they work beyond, they go the extra mile, they go the extra mile, they are innovative, they are creative, they want to see the business succeed. They begin to see the business as theirs. Now, there's a different type of, I would say, engaged employees, and that's the not engaged. Now, when they're not engaged, these are the average performers. If you notice, you'll be hearing things like, how do you want it done? How do you want it done? They are not willing to think outside the box. They just give it to you exactly how you want it to be done. They are not bringing anything extra to the table. Now, it's easy to convert this class to being actively engaged, depending on the strategies that you deploy, which we would also be talking about. Now, where you don't want to have your employees is the last box, right? You don't want them to be actively disengaged. Classification of people, of employees as the road warriors. They're ready to flee, they're ready to leave the organization. They're not loyal, they're not committed, and they don't feel that they're part of the organization. And this is the category we really need to avoid as business leaders. Now, just in the chat box, I would like to, if you have in the chat box, can you just type yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, I see some no, yes. Okay, yes, I see a few yes. I mean, that's impressive. If for people who said yes, just continue to do what you're doing, and over time be focused on how you can even improve. And if it is no, I would say that's very dangerous, because you are encouraging, if you don't deploy, if you don't do anything about it, right, over time you begin to lose your employees. And that's why you hear some organizations, their turnover is really high, you know. So what then can we do to ensure that our employees are, you know, constantly engaged? So let's talk about culture. How does culture drive EE? Now, when we're thinking of culture, a lot of people will say it's the way we work, it's the way we do things. Yes, it's all of that. But sometimes culture is an undefined aspect of the organization. It's something that you can hardly, you know, touch, but it can manifest it can manifest itself in different ways. It could be through leadership behavior, it could be through communication style, it could be through different things, right? So what then, or how then can you ensure that your culture, from when you engage your employees to when they exit, the culture in place is one that encourages commitment, is one that encourages involvement, even down to when they are resigning, you know, at least at the time that they are with you, how engaged will they be? So let's talk about recruitment, because this is the entry point for every talent within the organization. If you're thinking of how to engage talent, you have to have a process that encourages fairness, a process that is respectful, a process that is merit-driven, right? Because the talents you're engaging are potential employees. Begin to see them as future partners, right? So let that influence your policy. How do you engage these talents, right? How do you headhunt? What is the communication style? What is the language? What is the process? Even I've heard about an organization that, not just one organization, there are a couple of people who do it. You keep talents waiting for hours on end. You're already telling them ahead of time what your culture looks like within. So this is when you begin to define, especially to people who are yet to work with you. This is when you begin to communicate. This is how we work in the organization. Even those who are not selected would go away feeling respected. They will go away feeling appreciated. Because sometimes the recruitment exercise can be a bit strenuous on the talent, especially if they're actively searching and applying to different organizations and going through similar process. So you want to ensure that you're being fair. It is merit driven. It is, your process is, the recruitment culture is respectful. Moving on, communication. As leaders, we need to ensure that we actively communicate with the people that work with us, right? Cascade information from top to bottom, from bottom up, pair to pair. Ensure that you're carrying your people along. And not only that, you're actually seeking their opinion. They're engaged, right? They will begin to feel like they have a voice. I work here, I'm not just an employee. There's this sense of belonging. I'm being asked, what do I think? What do I, engage them in certain things you like to deploy. Maybe if you're having project teams that would handle interdepartmental projects, like maybe team bonding, CS activities, engage your employees. And you can also do this through surveys, employee opinion, just to feel the pulse, to understand how it is you can continue to improve your processes and your strategies. Ensure that your corporate goals are being constantly communicated. You can even do this monthly. You can have in-house magazines where you're sending out information about what the company is doing, even externally. How are you involved? How are you giving back to the society? Flutterwave is doing this now, Grow to Business. I'm sure that internally, they send reminders for their employees to attend. These are things you can do that would make employees begin to feel that they are a part of the organization. So some of the activities that can develop a strong culture would be your HR policies. Ensure that your HR policies, your policies in general, right, are very clear. Do not give room for confusion. And your policies are constantly communicated. You're constantly being communicated. So you can have an in-house quiz, maybe monthly quiz, where you send out questions about some of your policies as a way to remind your employees of the way you do things, the policies that guide your processes. Ensure that you have policies that drive equal opportunities, right? And if there are deviations, there should be an explanation that is reasonable even before you execute, so that your employees don't think that, they're in a system where things are not being done properly. There are policies in place and, there are a lot of deviations or no adherence. So carry your employees along, carry your colleagues along, very important. Ensure that the environment is inspiring and is safe. I remember when I went to, the first time I ever visited Flutterwave, I'm not saying this because this is their platform anyway, but I felt this sense of, I was inspired by the environment. They had a lot of plants, and it had a very peaceful ambience. So just ensure that the environment is conducive enough for people to want to even come to the office. And right now, people are working from home, right? So how are you engaging your employees while working from home? Don't forget that certain communication you can send to them. There are certain things that you can do just to encourage them. You can send them messages to encourage them from time to time as well. And ensure that you empower their direct line managers to effectively engage them in ensuring that the communication line is not broken. So, and then also ensure that your environment has, you have strategies that show that you're really interested in the well-being of your employees, right? If your employees are consistently working overtime, what are you putting in place to help? Or what are you putting in place to enable that they don't break down? Do you lodge them in the hotel as if they are coming to work physically? Do you ask them what they even want if they don't mind working late, right? So you have to always think of your employees, your colleagues. What can you do to make their work condition better? When they see this, when they see your investment in them, in return, they want to remain loyal to you. They want to give you something in return. They begin to see the company as theirs, right? And you get employees who are more committed in ensuring that the business grows. And you have to also consistently equip your employees with the right skills. Remember, we talked about in the definition, I referenced the ability. So if you're giving people tasks to carry out and they don't have the skills, at the recruitment phase, they shouldn't even be in the organization. But let's assume that probably job rotation has taken place, someone has been promoted, or whatever the case is, new role, and the person needs additional skills. And if not, there should be continuous development, right? What happens is, if I know that you're investing in me, because there's a possibility that I can leave the organization anytime, right? But just knowing that you have that at the back of your mind, regardless, you're investing in me, it increases my loyalty level to you, because I am growing professionally and I'm also growing personally. So that's one way to also get your employees to be more engaged. Another would be, what sort of reward scheme do you have in place aside from, besides salaries? I know it's difficult for small businesses, because I know some of us are small business owners. There are different things that you can actually introduce, some of which could be stock ownership, profit sharing. You can even introduce a scheme where people can come up with business ideas, right? And if it becomes a reality, they get rewarded, for that. They can share in the profit. You can discuss a percentage, document it so there's clarity. There are different things that you can actually put in place to motivate these people. Long service award to show them that you appreciate how long they have been with you through the process. Very important. And then team bonding. A lot of business leaders, they trivialize team bonding, right? What this does for you is you can have recreational team bonding. You can have activities like CSR, where people are being, just put into different groups to execute different things, right? But most importantly, what this does for you is it enhances collaboration, further enhances collaboration, bridges gaps, and over time, there is enhanced productivity, right? And this actually has a direct impact on your bottom line. It may not be immediate. It could also be immediate, but it has a direct impact on your bottom line. So I remember the stages of, forming stages of development in a team. You have the forming stage, the storming stage, the norming stage, performing, and adjoining, right? So when people continuously have avenues to get to understand themselves, I will begin to understand why Sheung does the things that she does. It is easier for me to say, this is how Sheung thinks, and this is why she's doing what she's doing what she's doing, I meant to say. And it is approach when I want to discuss contrary opinions with Sheung. So it just helps to build the team. It helps you to have a better working relationship, and over time, productivity would improve. So there is a place of leadership, regardless of what we have said, this nice, beautiful things, strategies, right? If you don't have the support of your leaders, it would be difficult to even implement. So you have to ensure that the leaders in the organizations are equipped with the right skills. They understand what it is. They understand what it is to have a fair performance management framework, so that when they are evaluating people, they can be fair, in evaluating, and they can also understand that it has to be merit-based, right? And they should empower, as leaders, we should be able to empower our people through delegation. Sometimes you can rotate, within the team. You can get someone act as the manager within the big. This is just examples. But the leaders have to understand, or they have to be trained to know how to implement these EE strategies. They have to also be trained to mentor, because you would have people looking up to you, as leaders of the organization. Sometimes there's a bit of confusion in trying to understand things. And as leaders, you have to be there. Gone are the days where, I'm sure some of us may have heard this by HR professionals, when you're coming to the office, leave your trouble at the door. No, that's not today's world. Bring your trouble, right? Let us discuss it. I want to be able to help you even in your personal life, because I want you to perform effectively. I want you to be efficient at work. So I'm concerned with what is going on in your personal life. So all of this, like I said, the importance of having an effective leadership to drive the stellar culture is very important. So now let's talk about the 7S framework. But in talking about it, I want us to remember, right, that best practice, global practice, the practice of an organization that you admire, right, may not necessarily be a good fit for your company. And I want to look at the factors that could be at play that will determine how you choose your strategies, or how you choose the programs to deploy within the organization. Let's start with structure. The size of the organization determines the structure you run. We run an HR firm, an HR consulting firm. It's a small organization, right? And what we have done is to outsource everything else that is not core to the business. Admin, IT, security, everything else core, right? And that's because the organization is small. A bigger company can afford to manage a lot of things in-house. So because they are doing that, doesn't mean you're admiring Flutterwave. They have a lot of things going on for them. And then you want to begin to practice what Flutterwave practices, because now they are, Flutterwave is big, right? So don't say because this company is doing so well and these are their practices and it's best practice, you should then deploy in your organization. No. Consider your size, consider every other aspect that I'll be touching on, because they're all interdependent. So you will consider your strategy as well. In strategy, I like to use Rolls-Royce and Toyota as an example, right? The audience for Rolls-Royce is majorly the upper class. The audience for Toyota is majorly the middle class. The number in the middle class is significantly higher than the number in the upper class. So a Toyota can say, I want to sell, their sales strategy will be different for sure. So a Toyota can say, I want to sell 5 million cars in a year or 10 million cars. Rolls-Royce cannot sell that much. They can't sell that much because the number, like I said, in the upper class is significantly lower than the middle class. However, their profit markup is higher on per car, is higher than that of Toyota. And that is how they make their own money, right? So similar organizations, same industry, but different strategies. Can you see? So there are different things that should drive what you adopt within the organization. Even the system that you deploy, right? In the HR space, we have two major big ERPs that are quite popular. A lot of big firms use them. Very good ERPs. But for a small organization, if you deploy any, it would be a waste because it would be underutilized. It would even cause a lot of bureaucracy for you as a small firm. So you have to look for an ERP that is best suited to the size, the structure of your organization. Now, all of this would influence the kind of employees that you recruit into the organization. Remember, back to the example of Rolls-Royce and Toyota. Rolls-Royce, high network customers, right? Toyota, middle class. So Toyota can afford to employ sales people with 2 years experience, 3 years experience. For Rolls-Royce, the type of employees they would get in would be different because of the class of customers they have. So, like I said, structure, strategy, size, systems would influence the type of employees you get. Even when they do the same, they do similar things, using this example, sales, right? And that should also determine what skills a person that attends to a high network customer should have, right? And what are the type of skills we need to support or equip this employee with. So all of this would influence it, right? Most importantly, your management style as well, right? Different generations, Generation X, Generation Y. Sometimes even in the place of the organization where we have to refer, where we have to treat people this, equally, there is still that place of understanding your audience, right? And we all know that different generations have like similar traits, right? So sometimes your approach to how you manage people would be different, right? And that's why sometimes you even hear people saying, IT talents are different, HR talents are different. You need to understand how they think and what it is their expectation is of you, and manage them as is expected, or as you think is best suited, or as best needed. So in the place of, the 7S thing that I like to emphasize, because a lot of people sometimes get tired when all the results at once. Not all problems can be solved at once. Don't forget that. Sometimes you need to actually define what your strategy is, define your shared values, your shared vision, cascade it, communicate, constant communication of what your vision and your objectives are, then begin to develop other aspects, your structure, your skill, your staff, your style, and the systems to deploy in-house. Now, in all of this, I like to recap by saying, why do you need, I like to recap by emphasizing on why we need an engaged workforce. The first one is it improves work relationship, right? We're talking about team bonding and recreational activities that you can deploy within the organization to enhance collaboration, to bridge gap, so it would improve peer-to-peer relationship, bottom up, bottom down, and top down, bottom up relationship, interactions generally. It would also make the employees feel that the organization is interested in them. So the employee well-being would be better than it was if you didn't have any strategies in place to ensure that your employees are committed within the organization. And the feeling of loyalty and satisfaction would begin to creep in, right? If I think that the organization is giving me an opportunity to be a part, to have a seat at the table, even if I'm not at the table, somehow my voice is being heard. I would be happy with the organization, and I'll be satisfied with the things that I'm doing for the organization. And for the leaders, with the constant training. Sometimes we have organizations who send some of their leaders to get trained as coaches, right? There should be that constant learning and improvement of the leaders, and also to also support the people who are driving the implementation of the EE strategies, especially HR, right? And in turn, employees and leaders across, right, are growing personally, professionally, especially when you're deploying trainings to upskill, to improve, to get them ready for the next role. And the other things you can do as well, job shadowing. If you run a small organization, because I know there are small business leaders here, if you run a small organization, you can do job rotation, you can do job shadowing. There are other ways that you can involve your employees in what you're doing. And over time, your value proposition becomes theirs. They begin to feel that, they begin to act as if the organization is theirs. They can sell your company to potential customers, right? They can speak very well of your organization within the company and outside the organization. So it's very important to keep your employees engaged. And I would like to end my presentation by saying that we should not forget that best practice may not be a strategic fit for the organization. We should always remember that it is important to get employees involved in the journey, in the planning, in the strategies as well. And you can do this using surveys, you can do this using opinion polls, just to feel their pulse and continue to improve. Let's not forget that policies are living documents. From time to time, you may need to edit, you may need to change some things to ensure that you're improving and staying, you're staying current, basically. So at this point, I'd like to say thank you for your attention. I was given just 30 minutes, so I hope I did not overshoot. So thank you for your attention, and I'd like to take your questions at this point.
Hi, Linda. Thank you so much. This was very insightful. I think I loved every bit, and I think everyone did. Right now we'll be taking Q&A after Jola's session. So if you have any questions, you can just drop them in the Q&A box, and we'll get back to it. So hi, Jola.
Hello, everyone. I will just share my screen in a minute to walk you through what the Flutterwave store is and how it can be beneficial to your business. Okay, awesome. So, like I said, I will be walking you through this deck that will show you how you can use the Flutterwave store to grow your business. So first things first, what is the Flutterwave store? Flutterwave store is honestly a super simple way to get your business online without you knowing anything about coding or anything about website designing. It allows you to upload a limitless number of products in all the variations and in all the sizes with all the images you can think of. So how did we come about the Flutterwave store? In the wake of COVID-19, we noticed that our merchants were at a standstill and there was no way for them to sell their merchandise to customers. And so the Flutterwave store is our response to that challenge. And, we've made it very easy, like I said before, for merchants to upload their products and start selling immediately. There's several benefits of creating the Flutterwave store. These include the fact that you don't need a website. I mean, you don't need a setup by the developer. You are able to create your invoices electronically. You're able to keep track of your invoices, so you don't need to, chase up with your customers to say, oh, have you paid me, etc. You're also making this process very easy for your customers, so they don't need to send you a message and then wait on your response before they can then go forward with the order. And then lastly, we have something which is called a payment link that makes it possible for you to, send these links to your customers, and then they can choose an array of options that they want to pay you with. So if the person says they don't have a valid card, they can choose to pay with USSD, bank transfer, Paga, etc. And there's several features as well. The features of the store include the fact that you can, create your products with the different variants. So say you have a black leather bag, but it also comes in blue, it comes in red and in different sizes, then, our store makes it possible for you to put those variations. The next thing is you can set your inventory levels, per variant. So if you have 10 units of the black leather bag, you have 15 units of the green version, you can do all of that. You also have an inbuilt fraud management solution, meaning that you don't have to worry about whether your card is safe or whether your customers' cards are safe. Sorry about that. You are 100% safe in this environment. This speaks to our PCI DSS compliance. It means that your credit and debit card information are 100% secure. And like I said before, for using the multiple payment options, you can use your QR code. Your customer can use their cards, bank transfer, etc. And then in terms of local and international card acceptance, we do accept a varied range. And then for the platform, you're not limited to just one. So we have a web platform, which is, where you can upload all your pictures, put the content, put description. You can also do this on the mobile app. So we have a mobile app that makes it possible for you to, create your images, create your content on the go. So you may not necessarily wait till you're back at your store or your office to change the information you want to. And then you're able to set discounts that will be specific to your store. So it's not something that, if Flutterwave decides, we're having a Christmas sale, then Flutterwave will determine the discount. No. So you determine what season it is, what discounts you want to give your customers because of that. So yeah, probably wondering, okay, is this a good fit for me? Now, everyone can use the Flutterwave store. We have different options. So we have an option where you can register as an individual and an option where you can register as a company. So don't worry about if you have your CAC documentation. If you have that, great, you will be able to sign up as a business. But if you don't, you'll be able to sign up as an individual business. Of course, the store is open. It's available to everybody who runs a legitimate business, which I'm sure you do. We do have a list of merchandise that cannot be sold online, but that can be shared with you once you're ready to set up. How does it work? I'll show you that in a second.
What does the path to success in your online business look like? What are the ingredients needed to succeed in selling online? Here's the obvious hint. You need the Flutterwave store. Here are the ingredients you need to succeed. Great product images, responsive layout, default payments integration, instant notifications, fast checkout, and even delivery. If you have no coding skills or knowledge, you're just as welcome because the Flutterwave store doesn't require any. You can create a store for your business for free and start selling in 5 minutes or less. Step 1. Visit www.flutterwave.com/store and click on Set up your store for free. Step 2. Complete the sign-up form and click Get Started. Step 3. Check your email inbox for verification mail and click on the link. Select how you want to accept payments. Step 4. Click on Store in the side menu of your admin panel, fill in the details, and take it online. Step 5. Add products and start selling. Create your own online store today and receive payments from around the world. The Flutterwave store. Just sign up, list, and sell. It's that easy.
All right. And so I will give you an example of what the journey would be like for a merchant, all the way from when the customer makes the selection to when they are paid. So this is just an example, JK Fashion. It doesn't really exist as far as I know. But say JK Fashion were to sign up for a Flutterwave store, this is how it will work. So JK Fashion will now have that link that they can, that he or she can share on all their social media platforms. And then the customer sees the link and then goes to the Flutterwave store to make a selection of what they want. The customer then proceeds to check out and puts in their personal and delivery information. This is quite important because once they do this, the merchant doesn't have to call them to verify their name or their delivery address. And then the customer then chooses which option they want to use to pay after they click on Pay Now. The options, like I've said before, are quite a wide range. So there's a card payment option, there's barter, there's bank transfer, USSD, etc. And then when the customer has decided which one they're fine with, they go ahead to choose that option. And then the customer completes the payment on that platform. And then JK Fashion will receive a notification to say, Jolade has now placed an order, and they will see this immediately. Afterwards, they can go in, they can do a deep dive to see, okay, so is it the black leather bag they wanted? How many units? They would see all of that in the order information. And then JK Fashion can now start to pick and pack the products from their own inventory. And once this is done, they can dispatch it using any last mile delivery service of their choosing. And then it's delivered straight to the customer. So afterwards, if they want to say, oh, how many items did I sell this week or this month? The merchant is able to go back to the dashboard and then do a deep dive of all the things that they've done in the period. So you might be wondering, okay, what is pricing like? For the purpose of my audience, I am showing you a Nigerian processing fee. We have it's a public page where you can view the different transaction fees depending on the country you're in. So for us, it's a 1.4 processing fee. This is, the transaction fee for our payments in general. So notice that with Flutterwave Store, we're not charging the merchants anything extra. We're not charging for web hosting or domain name or anything additional for e-commerce. It's still that 1.4 processing fee that is charged for local transactions. For international transactions, meaning that this transaction is being done by a merchant who is not based in the same country as you, then the processing fee varies slightly. It's 3.8% for that. And in terms of when you get your money, you get your money you see your money in your wallet immediately the payment is made. However, it's settled into your bank account the next day. So that's T+1. You receive your money in whichever bank account you provide to us. So there are thousands of merchants, about close to 30,000 now, merchants who are currently using the Flutterwave store. And so I've just highlighted one that I would like to show you so you see what their story has been so far.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Loco. I am an experienced makeup brow artist and the founder of Uneze Beauty. I got into makeup artistry in 2011 and it's been an amazing journey. Fast forward to 2014, I had an experience where I used an inferior eyeliner, which I couldn't have makeup on for a year, which really, really was depressing. And in my recovery period, I started to research and try to create my own beauty product that would be premium, cruelty-free, superior, suitable, and reliable for the African woman. And in that, I discovered that the African woman or women were less represented in the sense that foundations, makeup, wearing that suitable for our complexion, the climate, they were not easily accessible to our market. And I decided to bridge the gap. At Uneze Beauty, we offer beauty products and services that empower the African woman to look good, feel confident and comfortable in the way that she presents herself to the world. At Yanga Beauty, we believe that the first requisite to success or to thrive is to confer benefits and the reward will come automatically as a matter of course. We are so big on customer satisfaction. We actually call our customers jewels because they are valuable, precious, and unique in their own right. We're so big on social commerce, and we build conversations and connections via our digital channels. So I love the Flutterwave store because it is super simple to use. I'm able to send that link to our customers and there's like an automatic invoice that just comes in. So even if I'm not around, my corporate support specialist receives that invoice to confirm the payment, and then it's so easy for us to fulfill our orders. So I remember when I was trying to build up my makeup kit and I had to buy like a big eyeshadow palette, which didn't quite turn out well. And that encouraged me to make our own eyeshadow palettes, just putting the key colors there and liners. And I had a conversation with one of our jewels, and she was sharing how she loves the eyeshadow palette because it was just exactly what she needed. That was so encouraging to read because it just meant that we were actually fulfilling a need in that time. One of the biggest challenges would have to be accepting international payments. I mean, we will get requests, do you have a retail partner in the US? Do you have a retail partner in South Africa or Ghana? And it was so frustrating that we had these products, but we couldn't, accept payments for them. And when we found Flutterwave, it was just like a breakthrough moment for us. So we're able to accept, different currencies on one platform, which is just mind-blowing, and just we experience so many challenges. I don't think that receiving money should be one. So finding Flutterwave has just, solved that problem a whole lot and just simplified our payments and operations here in that.
All right. So before we wrap up, just to let you know, there are some things in the pipeline that we're super excited about, and we know that our future merchants like yourselves would be too. So we're working on integrated, trackable last mile delivery, meaning that when your customers place an order, they can receive the tracking links, and then you can view the status of the shipment, they can view it as well. So it reduces the back and forth on the phone to say, oh, where's my item? When do I expect it, etc. And then digital ads. So something that we're working on to make it very easy for merchants to boost their product is digital ad management. So you'll be able to do that from your Flutterwave dashboard as well. You'll be able to, sponsor your posts on whichever social media platform you are, most comfortable with. And then for ratings and reviews, we want to make it possible for our top performing merchants, which I'm sure you will be once you come on board. We want to make it possible for them to boost their visibility by virtue of the ratings and reviews they get. So if they, keep getting 5 stars and they're getting positive reviews, that would automatically move them higher up on the page. And of course, you don't walk alone on this journey. We help you with tools and resources, like we're doing today on the Grow My Business webinar. So like Sean said, we have a YouTube page that has consolidated all the sessions that we've had, so you can always go back and look through. It's absolutely free of charge. So in summary, you need to move from a situation where your customers need to DM you for the price and then you respond, because that can take some time. And in some cases, it can even cause your customers to just abandon the cart. So if they don't hear back immediately, maybe they're with their phone at that point, they may just go for an alternative. So what Flutterwave Store does is that there's a link, they see everything, they don't need to pick up the phone, they don't need to ask you how much it is, they immediately make the payment, and they don't have to ask you for your account details, because again, that's another point they could potentially drop off. Maybe they try reaching out to you and you don't see the message immediately. They may not, carry on with that. So we are simply making it very easy for you to come on board, and it doesn't cost anything. So sign up now. Thanks for listening and for watching the screen. If there are any questions, please leave them in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jola. Okay, so now we're going into the Q&A section. So if you have any questions, you can just drop them there, and I'll be reading out the questions for either Linda or Jola to answer. So the first one is, good day, Linda, and thank you for the insightful presentation. In the wake of COVID-19 and the changes that have come with the new reality, please recommend engagement initiatives that company can carry out to increase employees' engagement, passion, and productivity while being cost effective.
Okay, so employee strategies to improve engagement. Is that your question?
Yeah.
Right, for working from home. Most of what I said can actually be deployed, right? But because you're not physically seeing your employees, you should improve the communication. Communication should be constant. And you should also help them by giving them the information. They should have information at their fingertips. As managers, direct them to the right platform, to the right portal, or to the right organizations, or to the right individual that would give them the necessary information they require. You can give that support. You should also do constant check-in as well, to find out how they're doing, to find out how, maybe there are problems. Some employees may not even speak up. So you may need to probe, you may need to ask questions like, what can I do to help? Is there any problem? Or what can I do to improve how connected you are to the organization? Right? You can also do virtual team bonding. There are different sites you can go to. Some you have to pay, some are free, but the paid platform are usually more robust. So you can do virtual team bonding, and when it comes to their well-being, things are not changing. Their access to medical, access to, at this point also, like, what are you doing to ensure that they're keeping body, soul, and mind, in a good position? Because I remember during the lockdown, a lot of people battled with depression. So from time to time, you're sending out surveys just to feel the pulse. So you can see I'm repeating some of the things that I mentioned earlier. It's just the deployment that would differ. But a lot of the strategies that I mentioned earlier would still suffice, but you may deploy differently, just using the virtual team bonding as an example, right? So you still deploy surveys to feel the pulse, to know what else you can do to improve productivity. You can also help, you can give, for those who are working from home, right? What sort of internet are they using? Are they having to pay from out of pocket? So you can create a policy that encourages, or that would improve, that would help you, just improve how they work, access to the right tools like internet, or if you're not even willing to pay for internet, is there an office close to their home where that, just shared offices, and you can pay for a small fee if they're comfortable to do that. So there are different things. Just ensure that you're asking them also, like, what do you need? What can we do to help? Right? You'll be surprised that employees are very knowledgeable. They can tell you what it is they need, as long as it is in line with how you want to drive the organization. So I think that would be my response to that question.
All right, thank you. So the next question from the chat is for Jola. So after filling in all your details, how long does it take for your store to go online? And secondly, if I'm trying to search for Flutterwave, all I see is how to sell. What about how to buy?
Okay, thanks, Sean, and thanks for that question, Evans. Okay, so the first thing is when you fill in all your information, literally will take you 5 minutes. So after you get the verification link, your store is set up, you are uploading your pictures now and your content. It may even take less. So it depends on you. So if you want to make any changes to your content or to the price or to the quantity, but there's no waiting time where we have to review the products that you've put up. As long as it is not a flagged product, it will go live immediately. That's for the first question. For the second question, in terms of you asking how you can see what to buy on Flutterwave, that's a perfect question. So something that we do have in the pipeline, I can't speak much about it yet, but it's something that will enable our customers, not just the merchants, to be able to come on the platform, do some window shopping, not just from one merchant, but from several merchants. So that's something that we're working on. So thank you for that question.
Okay, thank you, Jola. The next question is for Linda. I have a question. Okay, for small businesses, how do we ensure we employ people who fit our culture? Are there free or affordable tools that can help? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the second part of that question was on employing family and friends.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that there is nothing wrong with employing family or friends. They are human beings, but you should have your recruitment policy should define what your expectations are as an organization. So regardless of who the person is, whether the person is a friend, whether the person is a family member, whether the person whether the person is, just an acquaintance or someone you don't know, regardless, whoever the person is should go through your process, right? If your process is merit-driven, it is fair, then I don't see why we should not give friends, our friends, that opportunity. So back to how do you determine if the person is a cultural fit, right? There are different ways that you can, that can give you an idea of if someone could be a cultural fit for your organization or not. Remember, earlier on, I did mention that culture sometimes is difficult to define, right? And it manifests itself in various ways. So you want to have the different platforms where you can have an understanding of someone's personality type or the type of values they hold dear to, the type of values that guides their actions, that guides everything basically that they do. So you can use, there's the DISC. You can use the DISC assessment. That's dominance, influence, steadiness, compliance. You can also, I think that's a paid platform. You can use the Myers-Briggs, that's also paid. But if you want to access, because I know the question they asked about free platforms. So there's a platform that you can use, it's free. You can even determine, if you want to even know more about your personality type, you can go to www.16personalities.com, right? It gives you a sense of the things that you believe in, and it makes you even better understand why you do certain things, what drives your actions, what drives even your inactions. So recruiters, we sometimes use these tools to give us a sense of the person's personality type. And we shouldn't also forget that you should also look out for people who have the potential to be trained. Are they trainable? Is there potential for them to actually be a fit? So we're not only looking at, is the person ready to just plug in, just go with the culture? We're also looking at, does this person have the potential to be a fit? Is this person trainable? So I don't know. I think that should have, I hope that has answered the question, Chioma. So you can use these different tools, but the free one is that I know of is 16 Personalities. So www.16personalities.com. It gives you a sense of people's personality type, which gives you a sense of if at all their values are aligned with the values of the organization.
Thank you, Linda. So the next question is, how do I retain sales staff in a small business store? What should a sales staff earn monthly in a small business store?
What should a sales staff earn monthly in a small business store?
And how
I
do
can't
they
categorically state the amount. I know that sounds like, it reminds me of something, but I would not mention what it is. You know, I can't categorically state. But even when you say a small business, right? You have small businesses with different revenue, you know. So your revenue, the level of involvement, the role should determine what you pay, you know. And a sales officer in company A may not do as much as a sales officer in company B, right? You should also have a budget as well, you know, for the role. So I would say for a very small company, a sales officer, I don't want to state a value because there are different things that can influence the budget for that role. So different things can influence. But if you would like to speak to me privately, I can drop my number and we can take that conversation offline so I can understand what the company, your size, you know, have a sense of what it is you do and your growth, then I can advise better.
All right, thank you. Linda, Brian wants you to type out the name of the two you mentioned.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, so Jola, this is for you. I learned that the maximum revenue an individual store can receive on Flutterwave is 1 million naira. Is that true?
Okay, so that's very specific to what the category is, the amount of KYC information that you've made available. So KYC information is basically a know your customer guide that we have to abide by. So in terms of an individual account, I can not confirm that right now because it will depend on what it is that you are selling. But of course, the truth is that if you are an individual account and if you're a business account, because you're providing different KYC information, the amount that you can, you know, probably be allowed to access will be different. So please send an email so that we can give you the, you know, correct maximum depending on the category that you are going to be coming in for. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you, Jola. So we'll be answering just one more question. And if you have any more other questions, you can always send that to hi@flutterwavegrowth.com. And if you have one specific to Linda, I think Linda will share her email address after this. So the last question we'll be taking is, what do we do when we feel our voice is not heard at our office place? Yeah, at our place of work. Yes.
Remember when I just started my career, and you know, as we grow, we continue to learn, right? I specifically requested for a training called Managing Your Boss. Specifically, I said I needed to be equipped with how to manage my boss. Sometimes, you know, the way we say things can make the other party not be receptive to what we're saying. Remember the place of emotional intelligence, knowing what to say, how to say it, and when to say it. You have to look for the appropriate time to air your views. And then how do you even say it? So that's on one end. The other part is, if you're doing all of this and it's still not working, just continue to, don't be discouraged, right? Don't say because they're not listening to you, then you will stop talking. Don't be discouraged. Just see it as an opportunity to continue to give to the organization. I believe that people, to receive, you have to give. That has always been my guiding principle, throughout my career. To receive, you have to give. I know all through we're talking about more from the angle of the employer, more from the angle of the leader, but as an employee, from the angle of an employee, I want to receive value, but I want to give value as well. So to receive, you have to give. Continue, like I said, do not be discouraged, right? As long as you're within that environment. And if over time you realize that the environment is not the right place for you, even when you make that decision in exiting, exit in the right way.
All right, thank you so much, Linda. So I think this brings us to the end of our webinar. Thank you everyone for sticking around. If you have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at hi@flutterwavego.com or our Instagram channel that is at the Flutterwave, their email, and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions. So Linda has shared her email in the chat section, which is lindaun@morriszandra.com. So if you have any questions for her, you can always reach out to her. So thank you, Linda. Thank you, Jola.